a really important and powerful thing about composition is how you can set the mood by where you place your subject. And there's different things you can compass. So for example, let's say you're using a vertical type of panel or painting canvas, and you want to bring the subject out to the forefront. Now there's different reasons why you might do that. One of the reasons why you might do that is because we want to see the emotion on that character's face. But in that way, we can just use like a square panel or do a square painting or do more of a landscape type of painting, and that way we can show the person's face up close. So why would be the benefit then of choosing to do a vertical panel in this case? It would be to show also some of her other body actions. Maybe some of her other body actions also help tell the story. So you got to decide is before you do the painting or before you make that panel for your comic is what am I trying to say with this particular scene? What's the purpose of this scene? You notice that if we were to try to do the same exact scene, but we make it with a horizontal panel, that is a landscape panel, we lose the body language altogether. And so if the body language is helping tell the story for that particular panel or that particular painting, then make sure you go with the size of the panel that would do so. Now another alternative we can do is to use a landscape type panel and or painting size or canvas size, and then still show her body language. The problem here is now we have all this unnecessary background and we lose maybe the size of her face. And now if we want to see the expression on her face as well, that's where the vertical has the advantage. So the vertical one both shows her body language that helps tell the story, and it shows her face expression, which is also what we want to do to tell the story. If we want to do both those things, but we do it with the landscape style, we're not going to be able to unless we make that landscape panel much bigger. It has to take up a lot of the page in order to see that face expression, probably like half of the page. Or not exactly half the page, but it has to stretch across the entire length of the comic page. And if it's a painting, it has to be quite large to see the expression of her face and her body language. Now another thing you can do is, as I just showed there really quickly, is maybe you want to have two different characters talking, and that's why you chose to go with the larger panel. But still you have to decide, are their face expressions important? And if the face expressions aren't that important, then just their body language is really what you're going by. And if that's the case, then that would be an example when you'd use this. Now another time you might use a wide shot like this where you can see her body language is you kind of want to show like the vulnerability of her. So we can see her, but we can also see behind her. We can see that there's this ominous creature. But what if you want to really show, the tension? A really good example is to frame the character with something that the person is or creature is staring out from. So in this case, it could be some bushes, and she's totally unaware. Now right now I have it looks like she's facing and looking that way, but she'd be doing some action that is completely unaware, like maybe she's walking her dog or something like that. She's kind of walking sideways. This way it shows that she's very vulnerable. So using this tactic is really good. And I think a vertical or horizontal would be great for this. It all depends on what action you want to show her doing. If you wanted to show her walking her dog, and then in this case, she'd have to be very tiny and very far away. If you did a horizontal type style, it'd be much easier to see that. Here's a quick way you can also frame a character from a 1960s book. And it is kind of strange that you would ever use this in a comic or something like that, because now it makes it look like someone is watching the character from, behind this lampstand, but they're actually not. It'd be kind of weird, right? But yeah, with something framing like a bush or, behind a tree or something like that, then it's very useful. All right, so hopefully you found this helpful. This is how you can set the mood by where you put your subject at and how you emphasize the subject. All right, thank you for watching.